For being here, Simone.
Thank you guys to be here. It's like 8:15. My God, I'm gonna try to be as quick as. But where is it? As fast as I can. So 6th November is not only today, but it's also the day I work on the presentation. So how you're not gonna notice it? We got some sort of issue with Christian communication. Let me say that I'm here with two heads. I'm going to give you a bit of context. One head is the head of iStarter, an accelerator that is born in Italy and is growth here in the UK. We are based in Shoreditch, close to the Google campus, just to give you an idea where we are based. Is the idea of 65 equity partners. We are both either manager or entrepreneurs in a really successful company. The kind of profile we are working with are principal in Boston Consulting Group, managing director of Facebook, quite really successful entrepreneurs or manager that they got together to try to give back something to get their feet in the innovation ground when it all starts. About myself, graduated at KCP. Since 2010, I run SCIS, that is my family office. We are a really lean. We are a really lean family office. We manage something that is around a net asset value that is roughly 60 to 70 million euros. Depends by what happens in Korea most of the time. And we make it happen by being just 3 persons, so a really small group of persons with, of course, a lot of consultants here and there. One of the main investments is a company that we are focused on turnaround, so we take things that are not working well and we try to make it work. One of these is KFTC, a company that is now turnovering a couple of $100 million that we floated in 2012 in the Korean Stock Exchange. The two companies that are the one because I'm here basically are SysFund and iStarter. So SysFund is a seed fund, is basically a branch of SCIS that is focused on early stage project investments, and iStarter is the accelerator I was telling you about, and is the company that does the sourcing of the deal basically. Two things I thought to put in the agenda. One is giving you an overview of some of the investments we have done or the startups we have helped through iStarter. And the reason to do that is to give you some insights on how we picked it. And then try to give you some 3 key elements when you are talking about startups. There are some conceptual mistakes that are often does. And I try to keep it really relevant for you. So I went to a really early stage, on a stage of concept, of how to move the first steps. Well, as you got, my job is basically all about entrepreneurs. The first project I want to tell you about is a company called Readbug. Basically, we do Netflix or Spotify for independent magazine. You pay a fixed price for $99 and you can read all the magazines you want. So far they have raised 250K in 2 rounds and are now going for a 500K round. Readbug is the story about Matt and Stephen. In these pictures, we were at Facebook headquarters here in London, and it's pretty cool. We won this competition. It was called the Big Fund Competition. The winner got 150K, and we were the only company who hadn't actually a product. We were there pitching a mock-up. We did it with InVision. I don't know if you are familiar with that. It's something that makes you design an application even if you haven't actually coded. There were other 20 companies we were pitching that were pitching that day. Matt and Stephen, they achieved to win. Fully disclosure, the day after we also turned off the offer from Facebook because it wasn't good enough. Crowd Emotion, so cool. This is going to be my first exit. Crowd Emotion, basically they convert biometric signals and they can understand the emotions that are behind. If you go to the website crowdemotions.com, you basically got one of the usage of this startup. Basically, what you can do is we're gonna record you while you're watching a YouTube video, and in real time we're gonna tell you the emotion you are feeling. The guy behind, Matt, he achieved to sell to BBC, Spotify, O2, really big clients. And what I really was impressed about the first meeting with this guy is that I was the guy who was taking note. I was so interested on what he was saying. He gave me so much advice. I just wanted to be working with this guy. And actually, one of the things that I loved, something that he told me, and that I really recommend to keep in mind, is that he never done any round before. So when he came to speak with me, it was the first time he was raising money, and he told me, "Well, you know, Simone, I'm a stingy bastard. I got the best investors in the world, are called clients. So fair enough, we can work together, I guess." Spin is a company that is doing dry cleaning on demand. You press a button, in 1 hour you got a lovely dry cleaner guy coming to pick up your stuff, and in 24 hours you're gonna get the stuff back. Whenever you press a button, we're gonna deliver you back. On this company, what is amazing of the guys behind, the CEO is called Rahul. This is the TechCrunch Disruptor. Is upcoming next week. It's going to be, I think, or in a couple of weeks. As most of the startups know, it's fairly expensive, so they weren't in the condition to pay for to attend it. What they have done, they've been a hustler, they've been entrepreneurs. They just put themselves in front of the entrance with flyers, and they got more visibility than more of the companies that were inside. They looked like one of the main sponsors of the event. And it definitely works, because they met me, I helped them, we did a round. That kind of things, it actually worked for them. Last example, last company is Bit2Trip. This company is eBay for luxury experience. You can bid and win 2 days in 5-star hotel with an experience like a bottle of champagne or whatever. We went on Cedars. This is some of the job we do quite often. We help the startups to get crowdfunding rounds, and this result, we try to raise 75K. We actually raised 147K. This screenshot is taken around 3 o'clock today. The campaign is still open. What is cool about this round is that it happened in 2 weeks' time. It's the quickest round in the Cedars story, history. Okay, so you got a bit of context. Claudia, tell me when I'm using too much time. You got a bit of context of the kind of project entrepreneurs we got involved in. Let me try to give you some little tips, not completely sure that are right, that maybe can be interesting for you. First of all, the advice I would love to give you is try to think really small, like have a huge vision, but really start to be focused on something really small, really detailed. I loved what you got from Michele. Really, this is the perspective. Even the huger tree comes really from a tiny seed. The first things when you are working on a startups, when you are working on a stage of concept. So I'm in my bedroom with an idea, and I want to check it out if these things it can become something. What I'm supposed to do is try to understand if there is potential for this idea. This test comes through an MVP. I reckon you already go through this. Who knows what an MVP is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Minimum viable product. So something really lean, really agile that get you the opportunity to test if your idea, your product is actually a sort of opportunity. 2 really cool examples. You can read much more on this on a book called Prototype. This on the right is the first Palm, is the grandfather of an iPad, basically. The guy who invented it, the CEO of Palm, when he had this idea. What he did, he went in his garage, he cut a piece of wood on the shape of the palm, he put it in his pocket, and he went in every meeting with this fake piece of wood, and every time he was in a meeting, he took it out and he realized, okay, now I will use it to take note. Now I would use it as a calendar, and he started to think on the possible feature to put on it. Even better, IBM in the early 90s, they got this technology. They can actually replace mouse and keyboard with a vocal system, so you just have to dictate to the computer to what to do. Before starting with this kind of investments, they thought, let me check it out if someone actually wants this. They got 20 person in the room. There was just the monitor, no keyboard, no mouse, and they got instructed that they can speak with the computer and do whatever they wanted. The computer had this technology. What it actually was happening is that there was a person in the wall behind doing what the test guy was doing, and what they realized is that actually no one wants something like that, because you get problem with your voice. There is no privacy. There are millions of reasons because we still use our mouse and our. Imagine how many money IBM have saved with this tiny stupid test. Okay, this got messed up. Okay, was an animation. This is the core of what I want. I'm gonna try to tell you. With an animation, it worked better, but let's try still to. Let me see if I find how to do the pointer like this. So let's start from here. Let's try to put in a matrix the reaction people got to your MVP. So you got your idea, you have an idea how to make an MVP, to make something small, like a fake product, like a landing page. The MVP can be quite can take so many different shapes. When you start on where you actually have your first version of a product, you basically have this axis is the reaction that you can get from people about thinking about your product. They don't need it, they don't like it, they don't want to use it, they are in some sort indifferent, they can live without it, this product. This is when they love it. So from indifference or hate, indifference is actually worse than hate, to love. And in the other matrix we got from very few users getting access to your product or service, thousands or millions of users. So when we obviously start, we are here. We have a couple of friends, mom, cousin, some relatives, happy to try what you got in mind. Really few users, and probably something that people sucks. People thinks that it sucks. When you are gonna be the unicorn, the famous 153 startups, the place where you want to be is here. Millions of people that think that they cannot live without your product. Think to Facebook or whatever else. So a successful journey at the end of the day is to get from this quadrant to this one. Here comes the really interesting part. You basically got 3 ways to go from here to there. You can either cut the corners and go straight from here to there, growing in the number of users and growing on the appreciation you got of your product. Fact, it never happened. Never happened. Really few exceptions. I don't know any of these. Now the question for you is this one: what do you think is the I stop on this. What do you think is the right path to get there? What do you do first? Do you go first up and then right, or do you go first right and then up? So what's the difference? Do you first get, let's say you have Readbug, an application. This application got, per every 1,000 downloads, it got 5 person actually using, and the other people, they don't use it because they don't like it. What if you want to go through this way, you can do what? Invest 10 million in advertising. Let's assume that money is not a limit. Investing 10 million in advertising, you're gonna get an incredible number of downloads, but most of them they're gonna drop because they still hate your products up to the time when they finally love it. Other way around, you first work to make something that is not good, and you make it in a way that people actually love it. Few of them, you really need few of them, 100% that love it, and you start from that small community, and you grow and grow. When you finally you got something that convert better, 95% of the 25% of the downloads they subscribes. Okay, now let's put money on marketing. Now it's the time. Most of the time we met startups that they tell us we want money to accelerate. No, you need money to fix your product, and you probably should put your own money if you want to do that. To learn more about this, the Lean Startup is your book. Last concept that is related to the previous one. Another really important point, this is really vital. Startup is about scale. There is a misconfusion between being in a startup stage and be a startup suitable for a venture capital investments. They are two different things. And an example of this is the barbershop versus Facebook. The barbershop is gone from here to there. It's got a product people is buying, people are happy to use, but it's got some sort of constraints. It can serve a number of clients, it's got a certain amount of space. There are physical limits. Facebook or Readback, let's take the example of Readback, if they want to grow in another country, what they have to do is just change a setup in their iTunes account, and that's happened. Just change the advertising policy. So the difference is exceptional growth versus a linear growth. And when you are thinking to a startup, you are thinking on something that has the potential to grow on that direction. I'm going to skip the third part. It's all fun, but we have no time. Finishing with finding is not a milestone. Fix the economics. Getting money for a good idea, for a great team is never a problem. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.